Breaking! The European Central Bank just declared war on Bitcoin, calling it a threat while ignoring their own role in crushing the middle class. They even admit Bitcoin could hit 10 million euros, and not because they support it, but because they fear losing control. You're gonna want to stay until the finish. I mean, what are MicroStrategy Chairman Michael Saylor's thoughts on a 6102 order? The response just might shock you. Central banks are attacking, and today, we're gonna expose the ECB's hypocrisy. They say Bitcoin endangers democracy? Well, that is absolutely hilarious because it is exactly their policies that have fueled wealth disparity and eroded freedoms. Bitcoin just called them out.
Just bring it.
It balanced the scales, and the central bankers are panicking. I think it's time for us to dismantle their entire narrative. Send it! So the ECB just dropped what might be their most desperate report yet, claiming that early Bitcoin adopters are essentially stealing wealth from latecomers. Yeah, you heard that right. The very institution that has spent decades of inflating away our savings is now pretending to care about fairness. Let's take a look at one of their gems. Early adopters increased their real wealth and consumption at the expense of latecomers. Isn't that rich? Coming from the same people who printed trillions of dollars and handed it to the top 1%. They fueled asset bubbles and driven up the cost of living for everyone else. And now they're claiming to be the champions of social equity. You know, I wonder what Michael Saylor thinks of all this. You know, him as the toxic maximalist who's been preaching the gospel of Bitcoin like a true believer. But something with his recent comments seem, well, a little bit more compliant than we're used to.
I think that when the Bitcoin is held by a bunch of crypto anarchists who aren't regulated entities, who don't acknowledge government or don't acknowledge taxes or don't acknowledge reporting requirements, that increases the risk of seizure.
If you consider the Great Depression, I mean, people thought that their gold was safe in banks until the executive order of 1933. So
he didn't really seize the gold. People voluntarily turned in the gold. They didn't go and kick in everybody's door, arrest them, shoot them, and take their gold. That never happened.
As you can see, Saylor dismissed concerns about the state seizing MicroStrategy's Bitcoin holdings, claiming it's not a realistic threat. Did he miss the memo from history class? Remember 1933? Yes, Executive Order 6102. They literally seized gold from American citizens. Now, I'm not saying the exact same thing is going to happen, but let's not pretend the government can't get creative when they're backed into a corner. I mean, really, what happened to this guy?
The classic Bitcoiner response is, oh, yeah, my Bitcoin, I lost it in a boating accident. You ever heard that phrase? It's kind of a trope, but what it means is, at the end of the day, if you push me too far, I lost it. It's gone. Sorry.
That's it. You're right.
Tax that.
I don't know, guys. Has he gone soft? Is he playing some kind of 4D chess? Is Saylor Batman or Harvey Dent? Let us know in the comments. Now back to business. The report goes even further, actually suggesting legislation to prevent Bitcoin prices from rising. Or get this, to see Bitcoin disappear altogether. Good luck with that magic trick, Christine. So the ECB admits they're willing to use authoritarian measures to control what you can own and how much wealth you're allowed to accumulate. And again, here's the kicker. They predict Bitcoin could reach 10 million euros. That's right. And they're scared it could dethrone fiat currencies and expose their monetary mismanagement, which it has. Yet, instead of acknowledging that people are choosing Bitcoin because fiat money is broken, they call Bitcoin a threat to democracy. Let's talk about democracy, shall we? How democratic is it when unelected central bankers can inflate away our purchasing power while deciding who gets bailed out and who doesn't? Democracy! Let's go ahead and break down some more absurd claims in this report. Number one, Bitcoin doesn't change the production potential of the economy. The ECB says Bitcoin is a zero-sum game because it doesn't increase productivity. Well, neither does printing trillions of euros. In fact, it destroys real productivity by distorting capital allocation. They're conveniently leaving out how Bitcoin's innovation and decentralization and sound money could actually fix, well, all these broken incentives. Now let's do this one. The wealth gains by early adopters come at the expense of latecomers or non-holders. Peter Zeihan called. He wants his dumbass arguments back. I mean, isn't that the definition of a growing asset? The ECB is framing Bitcoin like it's the first asset in history to appreciate, ignoring how all investments, from real estate to stocks, work the same way. What's next? A report on how early shareholders of Google hurt those who bought later. Christine Lagarde or Christine Regarded, I don't know. Here's the thing. While the ECB continues to invent problems to blame on Bitcoin, the actual cause of wealth disparity is their reckless monetary policy. They've been printing euros at an alarming rate, all while telling people inflation is under control. And now they're worried about Bitcoin destabilizing society. Short bus alert. NGMI. Bitcoin is actually democratic. It's an opt-in system where everyone abides by the same rules. 21 million coins, no more. That's why central banks hate it. They can't rig the system in their favor. The ECB wants to frame Bitcoin as a threat to social stability, but it is in fact their policies that have led to social unrest and economic inequality in the first place.
In a move to encourage banks to lend money rather than hold onto it, the ECB decided to leave its benchmark interest rates unchanged at 0%, while holding its deposit rate at minus 0.5%. The central bank also decided to inject another 500 billion euros or 606 billion US dollars into its pandemic emergency purchase program.
Even the ECB seems to know that their anti-Bitcoin rhetoric is just noise. They admit in their report that the only way to try to combat Bitcoin would be through harsh taxes or outright bans. We've seen how that's worked out in the past. And that's not regulation, that's just outright desperation. And it's telling that they're even discussing these options. It shows that despite all the criticism, they understand Bitcoin isn't going away. It's growing stronger, and the more they fight it, the more obvious it becomes that Bitcoin already won.
It's afraid. It's afraid!
Bitcoin is an unstoppable force, not because of its price, but because of its technological solution to the problems the central banks created. And it doesn't need their approval to keep empowering people. Holy crap, just in, we have more breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to bring it home, but before we do, look at our likes!
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Help us keep the lights on. Like and subscribe as we take a moment to recognize our sponsors, the masters of Bitcoin self-custody, and guys, that is the revolution. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The government is not your friend. Just read a history book and you'll figure it out. But if you don't want to get 6102'd by the state, our friends over at the Bitcoin Way, well, they got you covered. Guys, being that we live in clown world, it's pretty easy to understand the why Bitcoin, but over at the Bitcoin Way, that's where you're going to learn how to Bitcoin. Check out their newly revamped website. If you're looking to become a master of Bitcoin self-custody, no one makes it easier. From setting up your first wallet node to inheritance planning to everything Bitcoin sovereignty, they got you covered. Hey, and if you're looking to get started, you can schedule a free 30-minute consultation with the Bitcoin Way using that link in the show notes. Big finish time. And would you look at that, the Fed has joined the party and chosen poor as well. This is so epic and a combined effort as if in lockstep by status to spread a narrative that ended up ricocheting and exposing their own deceit and ineptitude. What a time to be alive. So where does this all leave us? Well, it's simple. Bitcoin has exposed the flaws in the system and provided a decentralized alternative that the central banks can't control. If the ECB wants to wage war against Bitcoin, it's because they see it as a threat to their monopoly on money.
Is this a joke?
Every bison dollar will be worth 5 British pounds.
This money isn't worth the paper it's printed on. You raving lunatic!
The reality is we have a choice. Stay shackled to a system where unelected bankers decide our financial future, or embrace a monetary network that respects individual sovereignty. The ECB knows they're losing this fight. The Fed does too, and their little report, as if written by an emo fiat bag holder, I mean, come on, it reads like a cry for help. I know the ECB wrote their little love letter about Bitcoin and whatnot, but let's go ahead and check in and see how the ECB is handling their loss to Bitcoin behind the scenes.
I like this show. I think I might come back and do it again. Thank you. Look at that.
I mean, really, is this report a threat or a love letter? We're going to 10 million euros. Does anyone know what that means? I think it's bullish. I don't know what the a euro is. Like shawarma and tahini sauce? I don't know. But what I do know is the ECB just ended their career like Machine Gun Kelly. I mean, stand, ECB, listen. Man, Dad isn't mad, but how you gonna diss Bitcoin then praise it like a fan? You say it's dangerous, call it a threat to democracy, but turn around and admit 10 million euro Bitcoin's a possibility. You're yelling at your mic. Talking bans and legal fights, but Bitcoin's still thriving, taking the spotlight, calling it a bubble, saying early adopters steal. But you print euros out of thin air. How's that shit even real? Hey, hope you guys like this one. Be sure to like, subscribe, share that Sound Money Gospel, and give us a pamp. And stay tuned because it looks like we're gonna have a massive news week ahead of us. Hey, I'll catch you all next time. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, f*** you.